And welcome back, everybody, to Movies and Beyond. This is our daily news segment. I'm joined today by Kyle. Kyle, how are we doing? He's doing thumbs up. That is good. That is good that he's doing thumbs up. So yeah, I suppose we should just jump right into it then. So Kyle. Kyle.
Yeah.
Alright, just checking you there. Jensen Ackles was asked over the weekend, what he thought about being Batman. He has some pretty interesting stuff to say. He said, yeah, obviously I'd love to do it. No one's got in contact with me yet, though. And he said something pretty funny. He said, but he'd be pretty angry when he loses out to Pedro Pascal getting the role. Because obviously, famously, Jensen Ackles really wanted the role of Joel in The Last of Us. And then Pedro Pascal got that. And apparently Jensen Ackles were second in line right after Pedro for that role. So he's talking Batman. I kind of know your thoughts already on this, but what do you? Can you see Jensen Ackles as Batman or not?
I can't see him being. I could see Ben Affleck being Batman. I could see Robert Pattinson being Batman. I just don't see Jensen Ackles Batman. Like, I've only seen him in Soldier Boys as Soldier Boy in The Boys, and he was great in that. He was excellent in that. He plays obviously like a Captain America, but not all heroic or at all nice. So I don't know. I don't know. I feel like I still kind of feel like I wish that we got a Ben Affleck Batman movie.
We ain't getting that though.
No, I know, but I'm saying, I don't know. I feel like there won't be much difference between if Jensen Ackles does it. Just from what I've seen, he'd do it just very not similar, but in the similar tone as the Patterson movies.
Well, it all depends on how it's written, though.
Mm.
Because it's going to be very different. This Patterson's films are a young Batman, whereas this is going to be a Batman who's old enough to have a kid who's around 14 years old.
I mean, I could see him being Bruce Wayne. I just don't see him as Batman.
I see him more as Batman than Robert Pattinson. When Robert Pattinson was first cast, obviously he hadn't been cast yet, Jensen Ackles, but I see it more with Jensen than I do with Robert Pattinson. But Robert Pattinson, is my favourite Batman.
I'm not trying.
And
to
I
say
wasn't.
like,
I wasn't
like
mad.
it.
I wasn't mad when Jensen Ackles. I wasn't mad when Robert Pattinson got cast. I was on board with it. I really liked the idea, but visually, I see Jensen fitting the role more. I think he's a fucking solid actor. Obviously, I've watched a couple of seasons of Supernatural. He's great in that. And then he's a completely different character to Soldier Boy. So he is diverse and he can pull off different things. So it's not just, he's got to be, cranky, 110-year-old Soldier Boy just shit-talking everyone. There's a fun, playful side to him as well. And I think if he met somewhere in the middle between, his role in Supernatural and his role as Soldier Boy, he could make a great Batman. But
Like I said, as soon as they said, oh yeah, Robert Pattinson is going to be the Batman, I was like, yeah, I'm all for it.
yeah, I was up for it, yeah.
I could, but the thing is, I know you just said that you could see him as Batman. I could, after watching Good Time, I could see it straight away because he could do that sort of, he's like I said, he's very like Jensen Ackles, as you've just said, very diverse. So I don't know, from what I've seen of Jensen Ackles, and like I said, I've only seen as Soldier Boy. I'm trying to turn it in my head as him being Batman, him having the cowl on, and I can't see it. I can see him being, like I said, Bruce Wayne easily, but just I don't know.
For me, if you can picture him as Bruce Wayne, makes it a lot easier getting that cowl on him. Obviously, he's done the voice of Batman before, so vocally performance, he's done that, and he can definitely bring it physically, as we've seen with Soldier Boy. I think he's the only soup on that show who actually worked out and got in great shape. Everyone else is in just muscle suits. But I really think he could do it. But the other part of this question I wanted to ask you, he joked, saying, he won't be mad when Pedro Pascal gets the role, though. What do you think of that? Who do you see more as getting the Bruce Wayne role, Pedro Pascal or Jensen Ackles?
Jensen Ackles, obviously.
Yeah.
I don't think Pedro's even in the running for being Batman.
Definitely not.
No, it was just a joke at the end of the day. But yeah, no, I like I said, I see him being Bruce Wayne. I can't put it in my head him having the cowl on, or just being Batman. I can't see it. Like visually, I can't see it. Whereas, like I said, with Rob Pattinson, I could see it straight away. It was just there.
Well, I've got that. I've got that for this, and this, this don't mean we're losing Robert Pattinson Batman. The great thing is, we're gonna have two Batmen on screen at the same time.
You know what it is? I'm not saying he reminds me of him, but like I remember watching obviously the original Dark Knight film, so Batman Begins, The Dark Knight. Whenever I saw Christian Bale, even as Bruce Wayne on screen, as in the Batman films, his Batman trilogy, I couldn't see him being Batman until he was in the cowl. That's what I mean by this.
Well, isn't that a great thing to have for a Batman actor, though?
It don't really kind of matter because, like,
Isn't that the one thing you want? You don't want people to think you're Batman at all.
Listen, it's superhero movie.
Yeah.
Logically, it doesn't need to make sense. I mean,
You take that back.
Superman puts on glasses, and all of a sudden, he's a completely different person.
And hunches his back.
Lois Lane goes flying with Superman. 5 minutes later, she meets Clark Kent for like going to shop or whatever. She's like, "Oh, hi, Clark. Yeah, I was just out with Superman. Just went for a fly." It doesn't really matter. What I'm trying to say is, I don't see him as Batman, and I will only see him as Batman when he has the cowl on. Whereas Ben Affleck and Robert Pattinson, I could see them as both.
Well, I'll ask you this then. Kind of bleeding onto our next topic a little bit, but let's say James Gunn walks out on stage at Comic-Con this year, and he makes some big announcements. He announces Superman, who's going to be casting Superman, and he announces, better to start sooner rather than later. He announces who the DC Universe's Batman's going to be, to bring out your two main characters on who this universe is going to be built on. Would you be mad if it were Jensen Ackles?
No, that's my point. I'm trying to say is I don't see him being Batman. It's hard to see him as Batman. Like, if I was casting this film, I probably wouldn't choose Jensen Ackles. I probably wouldn't have chosen Christian Bale, but look how that turned out.
Yeah.
That's like, that's what I mean. So, whereas like an easy pick is like Ben Affleck, because everyone sees him as Bruce Wayne and Batman. And then, I don't know why I counted 3 then, but the same with Robert Pattinson. I could see him being Batman and Bruce.
Right, I ask you this then. Ben Affleck excluded because we know we can't have that. Have you got a ideal pick for who you'd want to see as Batman? Or you don't have to have an answer if
Tom Holland.
Obviously, the best casting news, sometimes you don't see it until it's in front of your face. Like, there could be a better option in 3 months, and I would look at it and go, "Oh my God, yeah." We wanted John Krasinski to be, Mr. Fantastic for ages, since before Multiverse of Madness came out. And if you believe the rumours now, apparently it's going to be Adam Driver. And that's not even someone who was in my head to play Mr. Fantastic. But after seeing it, yeah, I'd prefer, John Krasinski. But if it's going to be anyone else, I'm not mad that it's Adam Driver. So, yeah, sometimes it needs to be put in front of your face, the better casting option. But right now, he's my number one pick. I loved him as Soldier Boy. Love him in Supernatural. And I really think he can do it. And it goes back to, why do we love Tom Hiddleston as Loki? Why do we love, Aman Vellani as Kamala Khan? Because they love these characters. And he says in the quote here, he says, would I want to play my most favourite superhero of all time? Nah, seems like hard work. And he says, obviously he loves this character. So, I like getting someone in the role who cares for the character as well, because they're going to put the best into it. Stop sipping your straw, you little cunt. So yeah, just from that point, he wants the role. Obviously, actor wants role in movie, but he cares for the role as well. So that's why I'm kind of pushing it.
Let's be honest though. I mean, who wouldn't want to?
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Actor wants role in movie, big movie at that. But yeah, would you want to take on the role as Batman?
But no, I much prefer doing like a Robin. I think that'd be quite fun.
I'd do the Flash so I could do some running and lose some weight. Anyway, moving on. Comic-Con is a big dream of mine and Kyle's to go to one day.
Well, I've been to two Comic-Con.
Kyle, I don't mean these fucking D-list Comic-Cons. I mean the proper one.
D-list?
Proper one. San Diego Comic-Con. San Diego Comic-Con.
That's just
the main event. And that's the one that everyone shows up to, mate.
Yeah,
so
but everyone shows up to these other ones as well. Stop discrediting the other ones. There was
all right, you let me know when Kevin Feige goes to your one, then.
Well, like I said, I knew someone from work, and they said that Kevin Feige was in town for a Marvel event. So I don't know what it was for, but that's not Comic-Con. Anthony Starr was in Manchester.
Right, anyway.
Comic-Con.
I think we'd all agree, though, that San Diego Comic-Con is the main event.
Yes, the main one.
Yeah.
Right. It's more like an E3 for movies.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It is, if I offered you, Kyle, 5 Comic-Cons in the UK or San Diego Comic-Con with Marvel and DC in Hall H, and you've got front row seats for both panels, I think I know which one you're choosing.
It depends.
Shut the fuck up. Don't you fucking lie. Don't you fucking lie to me. Don't you fucking lie to me.
It does depend, because at the end of the day, you sat at the front row panel, but you get to see all this stuff on YouTube. I'm not trying to discredit San Diego Comic-Con. I'd love to go,
right.
But it's just,
Right, Eddie, I'm going to take over for Kyle for a while, because we've always said one of our biggest dreams is to go to San Diego Comic-Con.
Yeah, as I said, I'd love to go, but...
And be there.
You offer 5 different Comic-Cons with different people. I mean,
Right, we're going off topic here. This is what we need to talk about.
Go on to the topic.
So...
I'm trying to change my mind. I like these other Comic-Cons.
Shut the fuck up. Right.
I'm just jealous.
So... Marvel, this year, are not showing up to San Diego Comic-Con. DC will be there, but no Marvel. Now, this is what I wanted to get at. For us in the UK, it takes a lot of planning, to fly all the way over to San Diego, to, queue outside that hall, which only fits 6,500 people, for a chance to get in there. And you find out, a month? San Diego Comic-Con's at the end of July, innit? You find out a month, yeah, it usually is. You find out a month before the event. that Marvel's not going to be there. If me and Kyle had planned this and got all our flights and everything and hotels to stay in, and Marvel wouldn't have been there, it'd have been a bit of a waste of money. Now, besides that, what do you think the main reasons are that Marvel ain't going? I think it's pretty obvious, but why do you think Marvel's a no-show this year?
They're just probably taking them a bit of time to I mean, they don't have to announce things every single time.
No, and they haven't traditionally.
Yeah, so that, I think it's just there's nothing big that's happening at the moment with Marvel. Like, there's nothing to, the next Avengers film is a good while away. There's no big event happening in the MCU right now, so I think there's that. It is a bit disappointing, obviously, with Marvel not being there. It's just always cool to see all like the YouTube stuff and the panels and stuff. Like I said, I watch them sometimes on YouTube.
I mean, we'd watch that Age of Ultron panel all the time at yours before that film came out.
Yeah,
loved it.
Maybe they were thinking of going, because pulling out a month before is probably like a last minute call.
Well, I don't think they pulled out. It's just, I think, it's official now that they're just not going. And you usually find out like a month before who's showing up. So
yeah, still though, I mean, it feels like if they were there, they were just there for the sake of having Marvel and a panel that's got nothing really to look forward to.
Well,
everything's kind of been announced.
They're
in shit at the moment with the whole, Jonathan Majors stuff, so that doesn't help. Even if they were gonna be there, I couldn't. I'd probably think that, Jonathan Majors would be there because he's the big guy now. He's the big bad guy, and so yeah. I think that probably played not a massive part in it, but that probably played in a part of it.
Well, yeah, but especially with everything they announced last year has already been reshuffled. New dates and everything.
This is my real big problem with this. They announce all this stuff and it always gets shuffled. They change things all the time. I'd rather go the approach that they just kind of say, well, we've still got stuff coming out. Just watch it as it goes. I think
they're going to learn a lesson from this. I feel like they're going to announce projects and no release date for them. No,
I don't think they will. They announced they announced in years ago one of the panels, and they announced loads of movies. You remember when they announced Serpent Society and then they changed it to Civil War on the same panel? It was like,
well, no, they did that for effect, Kyle. They put Serpent Society at the beginning, and then they played through the whole panel, and then that was like the big reveal. It was like, oh, we lied to you. It's actually Captain America: Civil War, and they brought out Chris Evans and Robert Downey Jr.
Still,
and
Black Panther.
You can't add that.
No, but I'm just saying, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if I had it or not. But they still change things, even though they've announced them.
The things that changed on that panel was Avengers: Infinity War Part 1 and Part 2. They changed the title to Part 2 to Endgame. They added a Spider-Man film in the middle, and Inhumans were cancelled, but that's something that Kevin Feige didn't want to do. Anyway, that was the Ike Perlmutter, the old boss at Marvel, before Kevin Feige went to Bob Iger and said, I can't work with him. So they put Kevin Feige in charge of Marvel completely. But what I mean is I think they'll learn from this. I think they'll just, they'll announce projects but not attach release dates to them at these cons. Now, I think that'll come out in a press release later. And if Marvel wants to have the same amount of thunder this weekend, the weekend of Comic-Con, all they need to do when DC's panel's going on is, James Gunn might be there with DC announcing a load of stuff, which will be great, and I think loads of people will be looking forward to that. But if Marvel want, a little bit of news that weekend, apparently, they were not rushing to cast the Fantastic Four, but they're really trying to get their contracts nailed down for the Fantastic Four so they could announce it at Comic-Con. So for me, this is either they ain't got these contracts nailed down, or they've got these contracts, but they don't want to go because of Jonathan Majors, and they've just moved all the slate around again. The writer's strike is going on, so maybe they don't want to show the face right now.
Yeah, I mean, things are going to probably get delayed even so again because
100%.
Marvel said they want to slow it down. So I wouldn't see much point of Marvel being there kind of thing.
Well, that's it. And like you said, they've already announced everything as well. And I'm pretty sure the 2 films that were untitled in the Phase 6, they've been taken off the Marvel slate, but Disney have kept the release dates for them. So, yeah, it's just business at the end of the day. It is where they go and hype people up, but they did it all last year. And if they've got no new to show, what's the point in going? And if they have got their Fantastic Four cast, yeah, they won't be doing D23 this year because that's every 2 years. But if they want a little bit, if they want to steal the news cycle for a little bit, just announce the cast online. I feel like they want to save it for an event, but I don't see what events they have coming up where they could announce it before cameras start rolling.
What about the Disney event? Was it
D23? It happens every 2 years, so we got one last year, so we won't get one. That's why I was saying we need to do America in 2024, because it would be Comic-Con and D23, not too far apart from each other. So, yeah. But, I'm okay with this. We got loads of news last year. We've just had a load of news about stuff moving. It probably means we won't find out who the Fantastic Four is anytime soon, but it's in the news cycle. People are speculating, and when it gets to this close to the film coming out, it's usually right. Could be completely wrong, but it's usually right. But now that Marvel's not going, how big of a weekend do you think DC's going to have? How big do you think their panel's going to be? Because last year they brought out Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson as Black Adam on stage and lightning and everything. Or do you think James Gunn's going to take a Kevin Feige approach, his mentor, and do a classic, bring out all these projects? Here's who we've got casting some of them, or here's some of the writers, here's who's directing the film. Because sometimes, like Simu Liu, he was cast 3 days before San Diego Comic-Con, before they brought him out on stage for Shang-Chi. So sometimes that news just hasn't got a chance to come out. So, how big of a weekend do you think DC is going to have?
Well, obviously it's the first one now where James Gunn's, in charge and behind it. But also, if to be honest, I mean, if it's ready, that's the real question. If things are ready to be shown or announced or revealed.
Well, Superman doesn't start rolling until January, but they are screen testing at the moment for Superman and Lois, so they're probably trying to lock that down for the end of next month.
Well, yeah, I mean it's a 50-50. We're gonna get something very big, or we're gonna get a little bit. We're gonna get a bit of teasing. That's all I see they're doing. I'm excited to see if they do reveal some cool stuff, like maybe directors or whatever like that. Yeah. Other than that, I mean, DC has the main stage. They're going to be, because Marvel aren't there. Let's be honest, Marvel's like their biggest competitor.
Yeah.
So if they don't do anything big to really shake the ground, it's going to be a massive wasted opportunity, because it'll be all people will be talking about for ages. Like people will still obviously talk about Marvel, but I'm saying DC will be on top of all news, speculation, and things like that.
Well, this time last year, all the Ezra Miller stuff were going on. They brought The Rock out on stage, but everyone was expecting Henry Cavill to come out on stage with for Black Adam, and at the end of it, everyone was just saying how disappointing DC's panel was. So I really think James Gunn's going to bring it this year. here's what I think we're going to get. I think we're going to get a definite casting for Superman and Lois Lane, because it's going to leak, so they might as well, get them out on an event. I actually think we might get our two Lanterns as well, Hal Jordan and Jon Stewart. I think we might get them cast, because that HBO Max show's coming out pretty soon, and I do think we're going to get Swamp Thing cast as well, and James Mangold's going to come out on stage because he's directing that. But as much as we talked about it in the first topic with Jensen Ackles as Batman, I don't think we're going to hear anything Batman related yet. I think that's they're going to save that for the year after, because Batman comes out in 2026. So they don't really need to start casting on that until then. And if they want to put a Batman cameo in Superman, that can be shot later, because Superman will come out in July of 2025, right near Comic-Con. So maybe they announce, bring out on stage the new Batman actor and say, oh, here's who we've cast as Batman, and then a week later you go and see Superman and he's in the film as a little cameo. So they could do something like that. But yeah, I'm okay with Marvel not going. I'm excited for DC because it's definitely going to be their year now, no contesting it, and we're going to see some good stuff. But yeah, and do you think we're going to get a definite Superman casting?
I mean, with how close it is, probably, yeah. I mean, it's all people are talking about. It's like,
yeah,
no one's talking about really the directors. I know I said before, it's, it's whoever gets announced first kind of thing, and then they'll move on to it. So it's either going to be the director or the actor. That's going to be sort of, I think it's in this event, it could potentially, obviously, it could be both. That gets revealed.
Now, what if James Gunn blows your mind and just announces the whole cast of the Justice League on stage there and then? Bad or good idea?
Bad idea.
Bad idea, definitely.
Not the worst idea. I mean, look at how the MCU did it. They had Thor, they had obviously Captain America, Iron Man. They had all these characters lined up. The Hulk obviously had its own issues, but they were setting up for the Avengers. But I feel like Justice League is going to do it differently. I don't think we'll get a Justice League movie for a good while.
No, definitely not. I don't even think we're going to get in the first Gods and Monsters slate, but yeah. I'll gear this as well. Over or under 50% Andy Muschietti walks on stage and they announce who their Batman's going to be.
I'd say probably just under.
I'm saying it's probably at about 30%.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, anyway. Secret Invasion came out yesterday, Kyle. We've got a spoiler review up on the channel. But Sam Jackson. He's been asked recently. He says, are you retiring Nick Fury after the show? And he says, no. I'm going to play Nick Fury forever. So, what are your thoughts on that? Do you like that?
I mean, yeah, it maybe he could be like the sort of the glue that brings the Avengers together again. Maybe he does it again. We don't know what they're gonna do. Because I feel like he felt very absent from the later Avengers films.
Yeah, he was a bit disheartened by that, wasn't he? And he was like,
So, it'd work as well because obviously there's not like someone who can replace Nick Fury, let's be honest, especially with someone like Sam Jackson playing him.
Yeah.
And it'd be, I'd be glad for that. Yeah, I'm happy for that because, when they do a later Avengers movie, they'll have, the original Nick Fury, one of the original characters from like the first phases. So yeah, I'm all for it, mate. I love him as in this role. He's done it well. My complaint is we don't have more of him, and thank God for the Secret Invasion show because, I feel like you said, it's very absent in the later Avengers movies, which I thought was just why.
Yeah,
Like,
we're getting Nick Fury double bill this year, aren't we? He's going to be in Secret Invasion, and he's going to be in the Marvels. So that's so much to look forward to. Yeah, I think if he wants to stay around and he wants to do the part, there's no reason not to keep him around. You know, you don't get many actors who want to do that, but you know,
Sam Jackson, it doesn't surprise me though. I mean,
he's a franchise man, isn't he? He is a franchise man, and you know, he came out on stage for Comic-Con for Winter Soldier, I believe it was, and he was saying, look, he said the first time I was at Comic-Con was for Phantom Menace Episode 1, and he says, I just love making movies, and I love making movies for you guys, so that's what I'm going to keep doing. So if he wants to still play Nick Fury, let him do it. There's nothing bad about having this character around for a long time.
Tell you what, there's one franchise I wish he was able to go back to, which is Star Wars. I really wish we got a definitive answer for Mace Windu's character, because, you know, there's so much potential there with him. You know, it would have been awesome to see him be a part of maybe like the sequel trilogy. You know, instead of just bringing back all the characters from the original movies, he would have been really cool to see as a prequel character come back in the sequel trilogy, or even just, you know, any part. You know, Mace Windu could come back, even if it's like a small part, or he's got his own story, kind of like Obi-Wan did. Yeah, I'd love to see that, but you know, we'll have to see.
Yeah. Yeah, I want him to stay around. It's I'll ask you this: do you think we could get too much Nick Fury? Considering, as of late, I don't think we've had enough.
No. I think too much would be he's featured in like in each movie he's featured in, like how he was in Spider-Man Far From Home. If he was in it that much, it would be like, right, okay.
Well, yeah. You know, we forget that he was in all 3 MCU films in 2019.
Yeah.
But obviously, Endgame was a small role. You know, he's just at Tony Stark's funeral at the end. But no, he was in Captain Marvel. He was in Endgame, and he was in Spider-Man Far From Home. But I still feel like we haven't seen enough of him as of late. You know,
maybe this Secret Invasion show will help flesh him out a bit as a character. But you know, like the thing with Nick Fury, I don't feel like he has been fleshed out at all. Like, he's been in loads of Marvel movies. You know, he's had a bigger part, he's had a smaller part. He still doesn't feel fleshed out. So I'm really happy about this.
I'm glad we're getting Secret Invasion, because Nick Fury's character is there to service the other characters, as you know, while he was building the Avengers, putting the Avengers together. That was his purpose. His purpose wasn't to have a character arc, it was to bring the Avengers together. He had a bit of a character arc in Winter Soldier. You know, went from, you know, trusting S.H.I.E.L.D. to not trusting S.H.I.E.L.D. You know, he went from, you know, having trust in his government to really trusting no one at all. So that was a little bit of a development. But, no, Secret Invasion is going to be great for him, because he's going to get to build on the character, do a lot more with the character. But I actually, you know, let's go take it back to Avengers Infinity War. He was in the post-credit scene for Avengers Infinity War. That film's cram-packed anyway. Is there any way you see him fitting into that film? Because
Infinity War?
Yeah, because I don't see him fitting in.
I do actually, I do see him fitting in. So when they get to the Avengers compound, like Cap and all that, and Rhodey's there, and he's, you know, talking to Ross. I feel like he could have been like the next person after obviously Cap and you know, the rest of the Avengers sort of show up to the facility there. When they all show up there, after they all show up, I feel like Nick Fury could have showed up then, and he could have had a part of in like, I've got some friends as well and things like that.
No, friend.
To try, track down where's Tony gone. What happened to them? Sucked up into space in a spaceship.
Yeah.
That could have tied in really well because he knows obviously that because he's got access to technology that is super advanced. Let's not forget about that.
He's super advanced pager.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But that's what I mean. It's he does have these technologies. He's still, he's back. I wouldn't say he's powerful. He's got power now. So if there's anyone to try help, if the Avengers failed to try find Iron Man in space, you'd ask Nick Fury, because I'm sure he'd have some sort of way, especially with his connection to the Skrulls and their technology and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I could have seen him fitting in that. Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, I say bring on more Sam Jackson. But Kyle, we had a lot of fun on Tuesday's show. We're talking about Kraven the Hunter. Well, do you remember when this got announced? El Muerto or something like that, about the wrestler Spider-Man villain.
Yeah.
You sound thrilled. It's been taken off its release date of January 12th, 2024, which isn't surprising because this film's got no cast yet. They haven't shot anything, and that would make this film 6 months away. The other interesting part is it's been taken off its release date, and they ain't give it a new one. So, are you hoping this film is cancelled?
I'm just honestly baffled that this film is even in. We're getting this character right instead of getting a live action Miles Morales. Like Sony, you've got Miles Morales, one of the coolest characters ever, right? And you could probably be allowed to. I don't know how your contract works with the MCU, and obviously Peter's Spider-Man. But I'm pretty sure Miles is probably still, because you've just made an animated movie with him. I'm pretty sure you're in your right still to make a movie with Miles Morales.
Yeah, well, we were saying it for, before even Spider-Verse came out, is why doesn't Sony capitalise on Miles Morales and make live action films with Miles Morales? Because there's so much money there for him. But yeah, no, go on, continue.
It's a character no one's ever heard of.
I'm pretty sure he's appeared like 3 times as well. I could be wrong.
Do you know what? Here's the thing though. I like the idea of what Sony are doing, making movies about Spider-Man's villains, giving them a sort of an origin story. But it's weird. It's like I remember seeing in the I can't remember if it was the first or the second Venom, but it will like something anti-hero. I'm like, oh, just make, you've just made Venom sound really uncool, calling him an anti-hero. It's like Venom's not known for being a hero. Venom's known for being Spider-Man's, one of Spider-Man's arch nemesis.
He's definitely one of Spider-Man's two biggest villains, Green Goblin and Venom. You could switch them two around all the time for the number one spot.
Exactly, yeah. So it was just weird. I mean, with Venom, there's a bit of leeway with it because there's a lot you can do and make a movie out of that. It's just I kind of don't get what they're doing. Like, are they trying to build like the MCU equivalent of like Spider-Man? Like have him have like a big universe, even though he's in the MCU. So I really don't get what they're trying to do. Are they trying to make us like go, make these villains heroes now for some reason?
Yeah.
But they're not. I mean, they teased that they're gonna go try fight Spider-Man at the end of Morbius.
Oh. Yeah.
I just don't fucking get it. It's just stupid, to be honest. And the fact that this was even like it's a real thing. I just can't believe it. It just why not take all the resources that you have, right? Give it to someone really talented like Donald Glover. I mean, make a
Well,
Miles versus Prowler movie or
well,
something
here's
like
what I
that.
wanted to say as well. Do you think Marvel Sony, had kind of taken a leaf out of Disney's thing? Because I think they're going to start rolling back on projects because they've seen how Spider-Verse works. They've seen they've got a popular character with Miles Morales. I don't think they want to go in this direction anymore. I think Craven and Madam Web are going to be, apart from a Venom 3, which clearly had some financial success, I think Craven and Madam Web are going to be the last two films in this Sony villainverse, which they haven't, connected Venom to them, but they've tried to connect these films to Venom, because we just found out about 2 weeks ago as well that Donald Glover's Hypno Hustler, that's been canned. That's not going forward. And that's that was a Spider-Man villain sort of film.
I don't understand what they're trying to do with these movies. It's like you're just showing a massive origin story for these villains, and it's like if all you're doing is just like an origin story for them, then what's the point? Do you know what I mean? They don't. The only, like I said, that the thing that Sony have learned from making the Spider-Man movies is don't cram in all this trying to world building, adding all these extra characters. Bring it back a bit. Sony brought it way the fuck back to the point where it's like they're not even building a universe. Like, you can watch Venom as a standalone film and it not be connected to anything, just because of how disconnected from everything. Even like their own movies like Morbius, it's just very disconnected. They don't try to build the worlds in either of the movies. If this gets cancelled, I don't care. I've not actually thought about this movie at all
Until this very moment.
until this moment, yeah, or when it was announced. But
Yeah, no, it's I think it shows that Sony's making the right steps. They're only going to start putting out projects now if they know they're going to work. I think they learnt a lot from Morbius. Before Morbius came out, though, I think they were already pretty deep into production on Craven, like pre-production, so I knew they had to go through with that. Same with Madam Web. Yeah, I'm not going to lose any sleep over this if it don't find a new release date. I personally want to see all these Marvel characters in one cohesive universe. Disney's got Fox now. They're definitely not getting their hands on the Spider-Man rights, which is good, because if Disney had the Spider-Man rights, we wouldn't get films like Spider-Verse. So, but I'm glad they can play together.
and No Way Home,
Yeah, No Way Home.
bringing those, bringing Toby and Andrew back, I don't think that would have really been much possibility.
I think
Like,
it'd have been possible.
I think but it would have been very difficult for Marvel.
No, I feel like they could have done it. There's something I'll tell you later. I don't want to spoil anything coming up. It's not confirmed or all, but there's no sources, so I'm not going to talk about it here. But yeah, I'm not going to lose any sleep over this. There's one thing I want to ask you. Do you think El Muerto could have been Sony's Guardians of the Galaxy? The thing that people thought, that's not going to make any money, and turns out to be a giant success? I'm guessing you're going to say no.
I'm just really annoyed that this was a thing. This was like gonna be made, along with, other villain movies, and they've only just now decided, let's make a live action Miles Morales film.
Well, you know what Amy Pascal's like. She's just said that in passing. There's been no talks of a live action Miles Morales film.
No, I know, but it's more likely to happen now than it did when they announced these movies. Like, why the fuck did you announce these movies if you're not going to do anything?
Well, they announced this film because they had Bad Bunny attached to it, and he's probably one of the biggest performing artists in the world right now. So they probably thought they had a market there for it. He's never acted in... Well, he acted in my favourite film of last year, Bullet Train. A small role. You know. Didn't really show us what he could do in it. But I'll ask you this. Sony comes to you, Kyle, Amy Pascal, and she says, Kyle, I need help. Do I make my own Miles Morales franchise in a separate Sony universe, or do we integrate Miles Morales into the MCU? What are you doing?
Well, you can't have Miles without Peter. So I think it would be need to tie to the MCU somewhat. I think it's going to be either Miles is going to be in the MCU, and then he's going to be, trained by Peter or whatever. He's going to be with Peter in that, and then he'll be brought over to the Sony universe. I feel like if they were going to do that, they should have done that a while ago, a long time ago. That way then you can still have Peter as Spider-Man in the MCU, and then you've got Spider-Man in the Sonyverse. Now, I feel like that's far too late because they've released all these other, they've released these villain films, and they're trying to set up Sinister Six again.
Yeah, so imagine, Kyle, all of these villain films that were coming out was just Miles Morales films, and he were facing these villains.
Well, yeah, it would have worked, but it's not how it rolls.
No.
So I'd say probably best is Miles Morales is in the Sony universe and he gets put in the MCU.
I want to see him in the MCU from the start. And that's...
Yeah, but then I don't want him to go to the Sony universe.
No, I don't want him to go to the Sony universe either. I want him to just be, a kid who Peter mentors in the MCU, and that's it. Leave it at that. Now, I feel like there's going to be a big fight when it comes to Spider-Man 4. Do we start sowing the seeds for putting Miles Morales in this film, or does Sony want to keep him to themselves? I think Sony needs to realise is the only reason, their films have done so well, apart from, the rumours going into No Way Home are what propelled that box office success. But no way a film like Spider-Man Far From Home, a film I very much like a lot, no way that film makes over $1 billion if it's not connected to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. After Endgame just came out to give it that big boost. I think Sony needs to realise they are, they've done well in the past and keep making you Miles Morales films because they're amazing. But when it comes to live action Spider-Man, yeah, they made Spider-Man 2, but that was over 20 years ago. Make your Spider-Man films in the MCU because there's already a rich universe for you there to connect to. And it'll just draw more people to it. Because, how many, there's been MCU films that we haven't been necessarily excited for, but we've gone to see them because it's the next chapter. Gotta go see it. It's like when you've been watching a TV show for too long. I hung on to The Walking Dead for too long. That show was abysmal towards the end, but I had to stay watching it because I'd watched it for so long. So I think Sony's next move needs to be get rid of all these, films that they've got coming out, and they could alternate, Kyle, every year. They could have a Peter Parker Spider-Man film, a Miles Morales Spider-Man film, then put them both in the Avengers for a team up. Put Miles in the Young Avengers. That's just what I see playing out. I won't deny that Sony has its successes, and it's probably best that the Spider-Man rights stay with Sony right now, because we would get less Spider-Man content overall. If it was with Disney, we wouldn't, like I said earlier, we wouldn't get Spider-Verse. But I think Sony needs to realise that they should Spider-Man, Peter Parker, Spider-Man, Miles Morales should probably be in that MCU because it'll give them a big boost overall. Yeah.
I just think they need to plan something that makes logical sense. Like, they planned all these villain films, and it's like, for what? Why? You didn't do anything in the movies to build anything up. You didn't, they don't even have a Spider-Man. I remember the director, is it the Morbius director? I'm pretty sure he said, "Oh, you're gonna find out who our Spider-Man in the Sony universe is gonna be."
Yeah, he did.
Fuck
you. We never found out.
And I think with Sony and stuff, even with those villain films that they've planned, we're gonna make these films. When it comes to making the films, it's just the same as how they did the Star Wars sequel trilogy. They just like change things that they've planned, like literally probably like days before the fucking movie even comes out. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Change whole things, cut whole scenes.
Well, they really tried hard, didn't they, to get Andrew Garfield to be the Spider-Man in the Venomverse, but he just said no. The only way Andrew Garfield's returning again is if Tobey Maguire returns, and probably be Secret Wars next time we see him.
Yeah, easily. Or even a voice cameo in Into the Spider-Verse. It's easy.
Yeah. I mean, like, but full-on performance, get back in the suit.
Yeah.
I think we'll see all three Spider-Men swinging around in Secret Wars at some point. But anyway, we're not talking about Secret Wars. We're talking about El Muerto and Bad Bunny's film being pulled off its release date. I think it's great. I wasn't necessarily excited for this film. This film didn't need to be made. Not every film needs to be made, obviously. I'm not saying that. But when Sony has such a well of characters like Miles Morales, they should really be focusing on that instead of this. Anyway, Kyle, we are about 2 months away from Ahoska releasing on Disney Plus. Rosario Dawson has been in an interview lately, and she said she was speaking to Dave Filoni, and he said that the Ahoska show is just basically season 5 of Rebels. Now, we probably won't talk for long about this because you haven't seen Rebels. But I'll ask you this: does this make you maybe you've got a couple of months before Ahsoka comes out? Would you go back and watch Rebels?
Listen, I love Dave Filoni. I love what he's done with The Mandalorian and everything. You gotta think there's a bit of marketing there, because it's like, go watch Star Wars Rebels, get on Disney Plus and go watch it.
Well, no, I think this is marketing more towards Ahsoka, because Rebels were really big. It was Disney's first Star Wars project.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, like, it's still it's all marketing for the whole thing. Him saying it's season 5, the thing I just think of, it's going to be kind of, obviously it's going to tie in with these characters. It'll still be Ahsoka's show. She'll be the main focus of it. I just think it'll maybe do what The Mandalorian did and kind of continue a story, or maybe end a story. So yeah.
I'm just happy that Dave Filoni was, George Lucas's protege. George Lucas brought him up through Lucasfilm, and most of these characters were his and George's idea, and now he gets to bring them to life in live action and see them right in front of his own face and direct them in person. What I will say is, for anyone who hasn't seen Rebels and thinks, "Oh, this is just a cartoon," no, there's some dark moments in Rebels, some really dark moments, and I don't, I started watching Rebels and Clone Wars after I saw Spider-Verse, because I was an animation snob. I was like, I'm not watching that, it's animated. And after I saw Spider-Verse, I was like,
I remember I showed you the trailer for it, and you were like, nah, it looks like it's for kids. And I'm like, Trust me, this is going to be something different. The amount of effort they've put into animation.
Yeah. So I've watched Rebels. I watched Clone Wars, and let me tell you, Rebels is great. It's a nice lead up to the original trilogy. You know, of fun characters. That there is dark moments in there. But also, I want to go off with the animation is. If you don't feel like watching the whole, on Clone Wars show, if you don't feel like watching the entirety of Clone Wars, you're going to be watching Ahsoka, I really suggest you watch the last 4 episodes of Clone Wars, because that is some of the best Star Wars you'll ever see in your life. Kyle still hasn't seen it, and I've been telling him for 3 years now to watch that last season of Clone Wars.
I'm gonna watch it eventually. I want to go through the whole thing. I'm a bit of a completionist. I have to watch the whole thing. I have to flesh it all out. Yeah, there's gonna be some episodes in there that are just there filler. Not gonna really do all. Maybe there'll be some that are just kind of there because it's classed as a kid show.
Rebels is a much tighter show.
Yeah, no. The problem I have with Rebels is the only issue that kind of put me off of it and made me think, oh, this is a kid show. This is the first time I looked at a show and I thought, oh, this is for kids.
Yeah, the animation style is
not the first, but you know what I mean.
The animation style is definitely kiddie, but watch it and there's some great.
I just hate how the characters' faces move.
Well, it was done for a relatively low budget.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, they could have gone and done the animation style of Clone Wars, which I think is fantastic. I think the Clone Wars animation style is phenomenal. It's really nice. I like watching it for that.
Well, it went from the Clone Wars animation style went from being a cheap alternative to something that they really stylized in the later seasons. So yeah. So how does this? Bear in mind you haven't seen Rebels. Does this get you more excited for Ahsoka, or do you think her show's going to be dumbed down now with extra characters that don't need to be there?
If I go into this and I don't watch any Star Wars Rebels, I feel like I won't be able to appreciate it fully on what the show is trying to do. I think I like the story, I like what it's doing, what it's set up. The villains, obviously, there's going to be some new characters in there, but it'll be like watching Mandalorian without seeing any of the Star Wars movies.
Why don't you? You've got a couple of months until it comes out. There's only 4 seasons of Rebels, 4 short seasons. I'm pretty sure they're like 20-minute episodes of like 18 to 20 episode seasons.
I'm thinking about it. Like I said, it's just the animation style really annoys me. I just hate how the face move and the lightsabers just get past stupid. I'm trying, but I'm.
It's because Kyle struggles with his homework. Kyle had a month to watch the 89 Batman film and Batman Returns before The Flash came out. Didn't manage to, but
honestly, it just went by really quick.
Yeah, it did. But he will definitely watch Rebels before Ahsoka comes out, because we want to.
I watched Star Wars Resistance. That looks like a good show. No. But yeah, no, I'm looking forward to this. If this is a season 5 to Rebels, I love all the characters in Rebels. I want to see what's happened to a particular character in Rebels, which we know we'll probably find out. Thrawn was in Rebels. You want to get some more Thrawn knowledge, watch Rebels. This seems now like it's going to be an integral part leading up to Dave Filoni's Mandoverse film. So it's definitely going to be a big part of the story. So if you haven't seen Rebels, go see it. Kyle's definitely going to, after this episode finishes, he's definitely going to turn it on right away. So yeah. Anyway, Kyle, I think we'll end it there, mate. What you want to add before we go? Is there any gaming news in the pipe that we can talk about maybe this weekend or? I mean, not really, because there's been a little bit of news coming out for Starfield. We were gonna do some on that. We should have done it a lot sooner, so we'll just kind of leave it for that. Um, it all gets digested down, anyways. It's only a little bit of news, so you know. Um, gaming news wise, there's nothing really going on, to be honest. When Starfield and obviously Spider-Man come out, I think it'll be fair to say we'll probably do a review on that.
Yeah, no, like I've done that solo review on Extraction on Sunday night. You know, Kyle. Obviously, I'd want to do like a spoiler discussion review with Kyle on the game, but Kyle will probably clock the game before me and finish it, and you know he can have a review.
That's not always the case. I mean, I got to a point in games. I think it started with Arkham Knight.
Yeah, we started at the same time playing Arkham Knight, right? Because I was right next to you on the TV, and I just kept looking up, and you was like ahead of me, and I thought I'm gonna have to like. I remember like halfway through night, I just went back to back with you instead, because I kept seeing your screen and spoiling stuff for myself.
I know. Do you know what? I'm surprised though, because I spent a lot of time in that fucking Batmobile. I just kept jumping in and out of the thing and running people over.
Yeah.
I thought it was great. So yeah, but as of lately, I've noticed that you've really picked it up for some reason. And I'm like, fuck, I need to pick my game up.
Right,
Go on.
Tell them the Sifu story.
Oh yeah, so Sifu. If you don't know what Sifu is, it's a martial art fighting game. And basically, it's quite difficult. You know, it does have a learning curve. And I was like, oh yeah, I've kind of just given up on the game. You know, I was excited to play it, but it's not for me. And then I asked Callum, and I was like, oh, have you played it yet? Because we got it at the same time. And he was like, yeah, completed it, mate. And I'm like, all right, yeah, haha, fuck you, you know. And then I remember looking on his account.
And my achievements.
And then it said he'd completed the game, and I was like, what the fuck, like. You know, you'd played it for like 4 hours, and I just realised how short the game actually is. But yeah, that was funny. But yeah, no, yeah, you really, you know, I remember playing. What was that game? That Red Dead 2. I don't know why I had to think about that. I remember just going through that, and I was doing loads of the side stuff.
I was doing a lot of the side stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, but you were miles ahead of me. You was like unbelievably.
Yeah, but I remember you had to go to work the next day. I could play it at midnight. You couldn't.
True. Yeah.
No. You was away. You was away that weekend when Red Dead came out.
Yeah, I was, but I mean, you still, like, I did a lot of the side stuff for like the first, you know, 1/3 of the game, the start, first couple of chapters, and then, you know, when it got to the midway point, I was like, fuck, I really need to catch up on this.
Yeah.
So.
You know, we did a God of War Ragnarok, but I booked time off from work to play that, so that doesn't really count.
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe if we want to do a gaming video, maybe, you know, if you want to learn a bit more about me and Kyle, you know, what type of games we like, you know, we could do like both of our top 5 games of all time. If we wanted to do something like that, like put that list together, and then we could.
I'm sure spoil it for Callum now.
I've already said it in when I did that solo news video about 2 weeks ago on a Friday.
It's changed now. You've downloaded a new game. So at number 5, it's Black Flag, Witcher, God of War Ragnarok, God of War 1, Fortnite. Being at the number 1.
I hope you die in a fire. You know, we played Fortnite once before it was cool, and we said, this is shit. And then everyone started playing it, and we still never jumped on it. Well, I still never jumped on it. I know what you did and went and bought that Mandalorian skin.
Actually, no, I bought the Master Chief skin.
Okay, that's acceptable. But anyway, I've been Callum. That's been Kyle. This has been Movies and Beyond. Like, subscribe, share, show us to your mother. And I don't have anything insensitive to say today, so I'm just going to turn the mic off. Kyle, anything insensitive to say?
Morbius